Everybody, it's Bernie here. I'm part of the DigiChicks with Cutting Up with Patty Ann's group. We haven't got together as DigiChicks for a long time now, and I thought it was time that I got myself into gear and tried to make something that people would benefit from, and I'll share the file through the channel and with Patty Ann and Tammy's help. So this card is an card envelope. It's an all-in-one. I've made a few samples to give you an idea of what I think works, what doesn't work, and we'll make one today and see how that goes. So it opens up, so it's like this, and it opens up into a piece of paper like this. This one here, I don't believe it actually works, the colour. So, I'll go through that in a moment, but that's what the card looks like. And on the back it's just plain. The one that we're making today is the 10.5 inch by 10.5 inch pattern, which ends up being a 5 by 5 inch card. So this one had a blue and white on the back, and it had some lovely floral lilacs and mauve coloured flowers. You can see the pinwheel, but it's still not as strong as I'd like. I thought it would have a bit more contrast. You can actually see the blue and the white parts, but this part gets a little bit lost. But it's still a lovely card. Again, it opens up. This one I've put some mauve paper on. These were strips that were on the bottom of this sheet of paper, which I've just glued. They're not in the center, but that's okay. So that's another example. You can see at the back. So there's that one. This one has a lot more contrast. It's green and white. It's a jadey colour and a white flower. And on the other side of the paper, it was a white paper with a gold metallic, which you can just see, a gold metallic circle. You can see this one actually highlights quite well the different papers. So we've got the contrast, the pinwheel you can see. So this one I haven't decorated inside. Yes, I have. I've put some gold paper on there. I haven't done anything in the middle, so I can fix that up at some point. This is another one I made. This is it's a brown self-patterned paper on the back, and this was a rusty orangey coloured paper on the inside, on this side, and you can actually see the pinwheels quite distinctly. Again, this one I've decorated with another brown tanny coloured paper inside. It is I can see that it is a pattern that's probably one way, so I'd probably leave it that way, although when I add add the sentiment, it won't be as noticeable. So it's just something to be mindful of if you are using a pattern paper inside, to make sure that where you put your greeting, if it's a directional, that you've got it in the right way. So that's sort of the 4 different sorts of cards, giving you an idea of how the paper, and I'll go through with how we glue the pieces, how we fold it, all when we get to it. Today's one I'm making is a piece of paper that I've got in my stash. It's a beautiful piece of paper, and it's got lovely pink flowers, and it's an Australian paper, so it's Australian natives, and on the back it's got some lovely little pink flowers. I think the contrast in this one will be quite nice. It's the one I'm using today, so we'll see when we finish. So when you put this paper on your mat to cut it, so the SVG file that you have will have the cutting already scored and cut. It needs to go on your mat this way up, because we need, so whatever you want to have as these parts here, the pinwheel needs to be facing up on your mat. If you wanted the brown, you would have put, if you wanted that as your pinwheel colour, that would be facing up. But I want the pink as my pinwheel colour, so I'm going to put that on my mat face up. And then when I cut it, you'll see how it comes together. And then there's also some other pieces. So these pieces, I'll put a pattern in for these 4 pieces, and the square, you can get them all out of a 12 by 12 piece. Obviously it does get a little bit tricky if you've only got a letter or A4 size piece of paper. You may use these four, ungroup them and fit them on your paper properly, and then you might have to use a different piece of paper, or if you've got two pieces of paper the same. If you're using plain cardstock, then it doesn't really matter. So I'll go away and cut this. I'm also using a silver in this for these pieces. I'll cut it all. I'll come back and then we'll go back and we'll glue it all together, and we'll show you how it works, how the folding works to get the best out of your card, you know, and everything like that. So I'll be back shortly with the cut pieces. Okay, so we're back with our pieces. So this is the shape of the main body of the card. So we start off here. These are our cut pieces. I've also created a print and cut. I just cut a 4.75 inch piece of card and just printed a sentiment on. You can do whatever. I've got a frame that I'm going to use as well. That'll go on there. So we'll see how that goes. But we'll leave all those pieces aside for the moment. So here's our X shape, for want of a better word. We need to wake our paper up. So I like, you know, referring to it as waking it up. Just follow the score lines. So you've got your, you're keeping this side up and we're putting it into the middle. And then we'll burnish properly with our bone folder in a moment. And then we've got here, so there's our, we've woken that up, woken our creases up, and now I'll just use my bone folder to, you know, make sure that they're nice and sharp, the creases, and there we've got from there. So this is the inside of our card, this is the back of our card. So there's also other score lines that we've created, and you'll feel them there, and they need to get folded back on themselves and under. So it looks like that, okay? So you'll feel it, it's just here, and just fold it under. It's easier if you turn it around on yourself. Pick it up, under, fold, and with one more, you'll feel the score line. It goes from that corner down to about here, and you're just folding it under. Again, score everything. And there. So we've got, okay, so now we've got our card shaped like that. So you can see middle part, we've got our four corners. I like to refer to this as 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. In this one here, I've glued these pieces down. Okay, so they're all glued down. This one, oops, I haven't. So it's really up to you whether you choose to glue them down. I haven't found any difference in the card. So these ones are all not glued. This one I glued down. So again, total preference as to what you'd like to do. So for this one, at this stage I'm not going to, but I'm also going to now add my strips of, I've got silver foil. You can use plain cardstock, you can use another pattern, a contrasting pattern. If you've got a paper pad that's themed, that you've got more than, you know, it's got a couple of different pieces in it, that's the way to go. And they just fit all in here like this. Okay, so line them up. Now you can put these on with a tape runner. I'm using glue. I've also got my box that I made that I'll also potentially make another video of for that. This is what I keep my glue in. It's actually winter here in Australia at the moment, and my glue can get quite firm. It's a solvent-based glue that I'm using, so it gets a bit tricky. So I usually leave it upside down when I'm about to use it to make sure that the glue all comes out properly. And at the moment it's coming out okay because I've got the heater on in this room. I think today we had, I think our top today was 8, which that's Celsius, so I'll have to do the conversion, but I know it's not a lot. And I don't feel the cold generally, so it is chilly if I'm saying it's cold. So we're just going to glue all of those. And I put a glue mark there, but I'm going to ignore it and pretend it didn't happen. I'll do the next one. And you just keep going around, glue your 4 sides together. And what we're going to do is then tuck them in, and the card will come together. It's a very, very quick card to put together. It's more around choosing your pattern paper, I think, is probably one of the hard things to do, or not hard, it's just tricky to make sure you've got some contrast. But just keep going around, put your 4 pieces on. These pieces are in the file that I made. So everything's in the file. It could be a Christmas card. You could do it with Christmas paper. You could, have a paper that you choose. Create your own paper. I've just started creating digital paper myself, and I made my granddaughter's birthday card using all digital paper with things that she loved, and she absolutely loved the card when I gave it to her. It was her birthday a couple of days ago. So she loved it because she looked and said, oh wow, it's got netball on it, it's got my drink bottle. So she loved the card that I made for her using digital paper. You could download paper from one of the digital sites, but check your stash out. Now, I haven't decided yet. I think I'm going to put this in. So that's the middle piece, or I may just put this together and just leave it at that. And I'm thinking I might not use this piece, which is, I'll use that for something else. So this, I'm going to glue this together. Now this could get very messy and tricky, so let me just see how I go here. So I'm going to put my glue around the edge of this scalloped piece that I made, and I just used the software program to make that scallop piece. I had a square and then I just cut the middle part out using a scalloped file that I found, a scalloped tool that I found, and I'm just going to glue, and it's very sticky and messy, and I'm going to push it down using my desk as the piece for the edge. And it just says, wishing you happiness today, tomorrow, and all the days ahead. Like I said, you can put anything you like on there, and that will get glued in there like that. So we might as well put that on now while we can, and then we can just put it all together. It's a really quick, simple card to put together. There's probably more time spent gluing than cutting or anything. And I'll just put some glue across there. You could use some foam dots if you wanted to, but I wouldn't make it too bulky because we've got to get this all folded up. So that's how my card has come together. Just having a look. Yep, that looks fine. I will fix those glue pieces up after. Now, for those that haven't watched, we did some tips and tricks in the DigiChicks over time. So if you've got a piece of card, piece of paper, and you can see some little edges that are, you haven't caught with your glue when you've gone around, if you just put that under there, it adds some more glue, and then stick it down, and there you go. You don't have to wait. And there's one here on this corner I can see. Again, just put the glue under there and hold it down, and then your glue's in place. I don't think I've got any further. That's okay. And then now we've got our card basically made. So from here, again, we're back to our 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. Starting with our 6 o'clock, so our 6 o'clock is closest to us, we're going to fold that up. Now I might actually, no, we'll leave them for the moment and I'll see what it looks like. So we fold it up, then we fold going clockwise, we fold our 9 o'clock across, we bring our 12 o'clock down to the middle of the clock, and our 3 o'clock is going to come across. Now we don't bend it and put a crease in it, but with this corner here and this one, it's going to go in under here. So we lift that up and we kind of just fold that over and push it under and make sure our corner's in, and there's our card. There's our pinwheel so you can actually quite see it quite well on this paper. It was actually a good choice of paper. So there's the back. So where's my ruler here? You see it's a 5-inch. My 5-inch, we started with a 10.5-inch piece of paper. If you want to go 11-inch, you'll end up with a 5.5-inch square. If you want to do 9.5, you'll end up with a 4.5-inch square. So it's totally up to you, but the pattern that I've got will be a 10, and this is the one with 10.5-inch, and go from there. So again, I'll show you how to fold it up. So there's the inside of our card. Again, you could put some other decorations on here. You can do some stamping. You could do some more print and cut. Maybe it's for a special birthday. You know, you could have, you know, say 50 in here and some words, whatever you want to do, but this is just how I've decorated this one. So again, we've got our card. 6 o'clock is closest to us. 12, 3, 6, 9. Folding up at 6. We're going around the clock. Then we're folding at 9, bringing 9 across, bringing 12 down, and then 3 will go under here into the middle of the clock. Oops, I haven't got it properly done there, and push that down, and there's our card complete. So let me know how you go. Happy to answer any questions that you may have in the group. I've created this using Silhouette software, and I've created an SVG. I haven't used Cricut software for a long time now, so I'm probably not the person to help if there is any problems bringing it across. I'm not a professional, so you know, please don't think, oh, this isn't a great card because it hasn't gone together. It's gone together as you saw for me. It should go together for you, but like I said, I'm happy to help out if I can. You know, you may choose to decorate these pieces. Like I said, these ones I haven't glued down. I may choose to do that, but that's the card. It's probably a card that you would give to someone rather than post. If you're going to post it, then you'll need to create another envelope to put it in. And there's also on Patty Ann's channel, there is a video on how to make your own sized envelopes. So for this one, when you look at the video about the envelopes, you'd know that this one is 7 inches from diagonal to diagonal, so you need an 8-inch piece of paper. The length of the diagonal plus 1 inch. But there is a video on that Tammy will post, or Patty Ann can post as well. So thank you. Hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, it didn't take very long to put together. And so happy paper crafting. Bye, everyone.